That's our cue to begin. So thank you guys for joining us. If you guys are here for the first time, my name's Mike. If you guys are here for the first time, we're all here for the first time together. My name's Mike Judge. I'm the Adult Ministries Pastor here at Westgate Chapel, and I'm joined by
Julianne Judge. I am the Outreach and Missions Director here at Westgate Chapel, and
what's really fun about this moment is that if you guys haven't figured it out yet, we're actually siblings. And so we both have the privilege of working together on staff here. And occasionally we get to do some really fun stuff together like this. And so we're excited to be your hosts tonight as we process through some really exciting content. If you're curious what we're all about, Wednesday Night Live is just a chance for us to come together to connect and interact, hopefully. Get your chatting ready to go because we're going to have some questions later in the evening. We're going to have some fun moments. Start off with something light, I think, every week, as well as we're going to take some time to share some testimonies with just what's going on in our church body and how God is at work in this weird and unusual season. So I'm really excited about that. I have a couple cool things for you guys tonight, as well as we are going to be having a weekly kind of a moment where we're discussing just a key topic that I think is really relevant for us and spend a little bit more time talking about it, hear from some different voices on our talk show, and just kind of dive into the word and how it applies to our lives and some different really relevant topics. And so that's what we have going on tonight.
yeah. So this whole thing is like family living room, right? So we need you guys to comment along the way. We are actually family, so you don't have to worry about our
Perfect.
social distancing. We are in it together.
We're in it together.
But as we, our church, are in this together, we need you guys to interact here. We want this to be a fun space. Mike and I could talk a lot, and we think we're funny, and we have all sorts of random insights that we're experiencing, but we want this to be like the family living room where we get to gather and hear how each other are doing. We want to connect as a family. That's what we're lacking right now as our church family in this social distancing, but this is an awesome way to do that together. And honestly, so Mike and I just want to make sure this is clear from the beginning. We're super comfortable together.
It's a real thing.
So if you've spent our whole lives together, right? We were born at the same time, and the whole thing all the way through to today. And it was terrifying when you were like, hey, let's do this thing so that we can connect. But also, so it's scary that we are so comfortable. We banter, we push each other, we love each other a lot. And I literally will touch you even though we're not supposed to be touching. It's fine.
Yep.
It's just that sibling thing. But hopefully you guys will join in this family space with us. And so we're excited. If we do weird things, it's okay because we're siblings.
Yep, we're all weird together. That's our catchphrase. Okay.
That's it.
All right, so let's start with our first bit. And so I said we were going to start with something fun. And so really excited for tonight. We have, our topic is, we're going to go through some reasons why worshiping at home is awesome. And so this is, do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's fun. This is fun. So we have been enjoying the hashtag Westgate Online, seeing what is going on in your guys' living rooms. I am the total creeper. I love seeing pictures of people's homes and seeing what's going on as we worship from home. Again, please know our heart is that we want to be together.
Totally.
This is just playful. We wish that we were gathering in the cafe spaces and meeting ahead of service.
Hanging out in the aisles, all that.
All of that. The meet and greet, the hugs, just that's where we wish we were. But we might as well have some fun along the way. So we've been enjoying your post, making the best of it. And there's a couple really fun things we've encountered through this worshiping at home that we've never done before. And we would love for you guys to, again, add things to the comments as we go. So
here we go. First one on the list. We got a few for you. Reasons why we love worshiping at home in this season, make the most of it, is bathroom breaks. Now, I don't know if you guys ever had this moment before. Let's be honest, we all have, where we're sitting there and we're getting in right in the middle of that sermon and we're just really into it, but we're just torn because we know that we're thinking about doing something else because, you're just in that moment. And so you're debating, do I go? Do I stay? And what's so awesome about live streaming and worshiping from home, one of the things is that you can just hit that pause button and go, and then you can come back. And
where are they going?
Where are they going? I think you guys know, to the bathroom. And so it's in the title. Yep. And so I just think that that's hilarious and that's awesome. And I think that's something that's fun and we've probably all been excited about. So
yeah, pausing the live stream is awesome.
What's the next one?
Another thing is just you can wear as much or as little as you want to service. And I have been seeing people's pictures with, so they have their socks and slippers and pajamas and a bathrobe, and then they still have a blanket and a cat on their lap from people in our congregation. Yeah, they are bundled. And then the opposite side of this whole thing is people, I've seen some toddlers just in their diapers. And
Totally
they
acceptable.
are fully free to worship exactly how they want.
Do you think there's people wearing like a suit and tie? Is it on the couch?
I think that's actually important. I think the idea is you get ready for the day and your body knows what you're wearing, just like it knows when it's wearing pajamas for bed. It knows that you're wearing
Someone's
a suit and
doing
tie
it.
for church. Yeah, if you're the suit and tie people, could you comment and let us
We
know?
want to know.
What are you guys wearing to church?
Awesome. The next one we have.
Oh yeah, this is me. This is all me. I'm so grateful that I can see the screen, and I literally will choose my seat in the pew behind people that are short like I am or need some space, because when you sit in the pew or stand for worship, especially when they get in this posture, I have to move with them. So they start worshiping and they're moving and singing, and then I have to opposite to be able to see the words. But being 5'3", I just will literally help think through which seat am I going to sit in by, who am I going to sit behind, and then I was thinking about how it just trickles behind. So then now we're all
Dominoes.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's super funny is for me, I don't know if you guys have ever done this before, but sometimes before I start the worship service, I kind of do the look behind to see how tall the person is behind me. So I'm like, do I slouch in my seat so they can see? Do I sit up? And so that's not an issue anymore, and I love it. All right, what's next, Jules?
We have this dance party, and so we can worship every Sunday at a dance party. But when we're in our living room, there's just been a little more freedom. We've been seeing all sorts of photos of our Westgate kids, particularly during the worship. I mean, you can dance through Rob's sermon. That's great also. But we had one that came in on this hashtag Westgate Online that we want to show you. And please note that this is Sean Kelber's kid, Noah, and Sean is up. He's on our worship team. He's on the far right. So just watch, see if there's any similarities.
Father-son interaction.
Well, wait, did you have
So,
Oh, no, Abby does not talk to me. I didn't see it. I did it
Awesome. Yes, so as you can see, this hand on the heart, feeling it. I think there's a Tim Hawkins sketch about this position, posture of worship.
I just call it the Sean Calber.
But we here at Westgate call it
We
the
know
Sean
it as
Calber.
the Sean Calber.
And now Noah is fully singing at worships in his family room. So these dance breaks, dance party
Super
are an
awesome.
awesome way to worship. What else do we got?
Yeah, and so just in line with the last one I shared about, with bathroom time comes snack time. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about it, but what's better than being able to get up, middle of service? I know this is kind of bad advice, but still,
Yeah, don't listen
get
to
the
what-
bacon out, throw it in a pan. When else can you do that? You can't do that during service. So this is a prime time opportunity for us to be able to get up, to press that pause button, get the snack break, come in, not miss anything, and it's a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah, you could almost have different snack sections. You could plan your snacks through the flow of the service.
Yeah.
We've seen tons of kids. I loved when even there was a picture of just a kid with a whole Eggo waffle.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Just holding their waffle, eating it during the sermon.
Yep.
Love it.
Praise God. Those Eggo waffles. And then lastly, internet during service. Now, we all know, maybe we don't all know, we have some internet issues in reception in the sanctuary. And so it's a real thing for the moment. Obviously, we're hoping to fix that up, but it's kind of fun and funny being a Westgater, just knowing that we can enjoy the ability to pull out the Bible app, whenever we want to. Or one of my favorite things is being able to fact check the pastor. Have you ever done that before? You hear the quote and you're like, ooh, this is a great time to fact check. I want to make sure that's all. Oh, it's credible. That's credible.
Or even just continue reading.
Yeah.
You can do it in the moment as
Yeah.
opposed to hoping you'll get a Safari tab later.
Now, that being said, I don't want to say that our pastors don't do their studying. We do. But it's just fun to be able to have the internet on your fingertips. So, yep, totally awesome. And so that's our funny things about worshiping at home that make it kind of fun as we're going through this unfortunate season. And so if you guys have other fun ones, maybe.
Yeah, comment in. We're looking to see if you guys have any. Ooh, waffles in Westgate. You're right.
Ooh, we could make like a new thing. Like we could, a t-shirt, waffles in Westgate, maybe
Waffles
have them
in
in the cafe.
Westgate.
That'd be fun. Love the responses, guys.
Give us your other thoughts of reasons you love worshiping at home, and we can continue to use this hashtag Westgate Online to find your responses, and they're fun in our family room.
Awesome. So our next section we want to switch gears to is God at work. Story time. What's going on in our congregation? How is God moving amongst this kind of weird season where it feels like there's a lot of bad news, but we know that our God is still on the move. And so we wanted to share some time to talking about what's going on in our congregation, right, Jules?
Yeah. There are all sorts of good stories, and we need you guys to keep telling us what those stories are. But we, we're family hanging out in the living room. We need you to let us know what they are. And every story, stories are just what I connect to. I've been loving even people reading stories online. This is a thing people are doing right now to increase story time. And so Mike's going to share our first story.
Yep, we have two things. And the first thing that's been super encouraging to me is that I feel like our church has been doing a really good job of transitioning to this online format.
Yes.
It's so fun. Just a couple numbers for you guys. I like numbers. A few weeks ago, before all this, our sermons on YouTube would probably get around 60 some views. Sometimes a popular sermon would maybe get a couple hundred. But it wasn't like not a crazy amount. And we'd obviously have the 700 some people in the auditorium live, et cetera. But what's so fun is that even with this transitional season, this kind of unusual season, we've been having even more people engage via the internet. And so I think a couple weeks ago, we had over 1,300 people watch that video. And what's so cool, even if you think about it, like my family, there's 3 of us watching one, just counting for one of those views. And so that number is probably much larger. And we've heard all around the world people are doing that. And so that's a really cool story of God at work. And what's even maybe crazier than that, maybe it shouldn't be crazier than that, Steve, I don't know, is that our students, Steve and Dan did their big Westgate students thing on Monday night, and they had over 100 kids watching that live.
Awesome.
But what's crazy to me is that they have over 800 views now on YouTube. You guys, if you want to just be a youth grouper, you can check that out online, even tonight after this video if you want to. But anyway, super cool to see our church engaging. And we have one more story we want to share.
Yeah, so again, the internet is a place for us to gather. It's weird, and there's a lot of weird noise and heavy noise, but there's also some good noise. And so I was drawn to a post from someone in our church family, Julie Paris. We've been friends forever. She's the first person I met with the same name as me, Julianne. And she had just shared a post, just unassumedly, just wanting to give glory to God. And so we're going to show you a video. I 100% asked her to do this. Last night I called her and said, hey, would you be willing to share this with our church family just to give God some glory? And so we're going to share this video with you, and then,
Let's check it out.
Show us what Julie has to say.
Hi everyone, this is Julie Paris. Last week my daughter called and she was in tears. She had just lost her job of 2 months and she loved it so much. It was in the medical field, everything she'd been looking for a job. And so obviously it was devastating when we heard this. My heart sank and I just went into prayer mode with her. I wanted to give thanks to God for all he was doing in her life, and that we needed to trust him, that he would work things out. And so after we prayed, we just talked about things and cried together, and then she got a call while we were talking. And so we hung up, and moments later, she texted us and said her old job had just offered her the position back, and we were just like, happy dance. We just couldn't believe it. Oh, of course we could. It was Jesus. He did that for us, and it only took 20 minutes from the time she got laid off to the time she got this new position. Only God can do that. So praise God.
Yeah, so what I love about that is, again, I asked Julie to do this, and she graciously filmed that this morning from her kitchen on her laptop, is just that she went to prayer mode. I just love the idea of
So cool.
prayer mode.
Yeah.
And she was sitting with her daughter. She wasn't promising everything is going to get all better, but this whole idea of trusting God and acknowledging that He has been faithful in her life. And there was an immediate response, and we're not promising that everyone gets that immediate response like that, but we can promise that as we trust God and walk with Him, He will meet us there. And so I just love that she unassumedly shared that and then is willing to share it with you guys. And so that leads us to asking you guys to just notice these things throughout the week. You can email me a written story if you're willing to film it and send it in. Again, this is all about us being a family, and it's not about you, it's about God. These stories are about God, and so, but we're blessed by them. I was blessed by reading that, and which is why I asked her to share it with you all tonight. And so email them to me. You can send in a short video as well. We figured out some tech things about dropping it into Google, the Google Drive, or however we figure that out. But just know that we want to tell God stories here in our family room every Wednesday night. And so send them on over.
Yep, can't wait. Super exciting. Probably one of the favorite parts of the week is just hearing from, you guys about what's going on.
Yeah.
Super cool. All right, and so kind of as we switch on, we want to every week take some time to talk about just a topic that's going on in kind of relating to the world today and what's going on, and walk through the season intentionally together as a church family. And I'm really excited tonight because as we're kicking this off, it really piggybacks well with what Pastor Rob shared about this last week at church on Sunday. And one of the things, if you guys were tuning into that you heard Rob share, was that this is an opportunity here at the church, and here as a global church family, right? This is a moment in the world today where the body of Christ can respond, and this could be an opportunity even for us to make big steps forward and even maybe rise up in ways that we've never risen up before as a church, and grow stronger in our faith and reach our community and be a presence and to be a light in big ways. And so this is an opportunity for that. And it's interesting if we look back through history how the church has thrived so much underneath pressure, right? As things have gone wrong in the world, sometimes it seems like that's when the church has the opportunity to shine the brightest. Yeah. And if we look through history, we can see those things. And Rob shared about some of that on church on Sunday. And what's I think true about all those occasions is that for there to be this positive movement, it requires the church to together stand and be intentional and to move into it and take advantage of it and say, you know what, we're not just going to miss this opportunity, we're going to do something with it, and we're going to take steps forward together in this season. And so that's kind of the spirit that I want to talk about right now, and that's kind of the thing that leads us to our main topic for this week.
So, yeah, the topic of the week, again, something about the church being united. And we're excited for Mike to release this week's topic of the week. What's the topic?
The topic is, I just had on the screen, it's making the most of our time. Making the most of our time. I was just thinking about it, and we have a whole group of different people here. We have multiple groups of different people. We have the people who are now working more hours than they've ever worked before. Yeah. And there's some people that are pulling crazy hours taking care of us. And we can all think of the medical and the police officers and just everybody, the grocery store workers and the people in shipping.
Food delivery.
And it's crazy. There's people that are working harder than they've ever worked before. There's people that are working much less, maybe students that are off, maybe people who have had to be let go. And so we have more time. But the one thing that's common between all these groups of people is that for all of us, we have this burden and this responsibility to make the most of our time. And I think especially in the midst of this season, how are we going to use it? What are we going to do with it?
Yeah, this season surely has affected everybody.
Yep.
Even people that are like, this hasn't affected me so much. I've heard some of my mom friends that kind of have a natural rhythm with their newborn that feels a little bit like this,
yep.
But they're saying it's weird for other people to have the same rhythm as me,
yep.
Even just being met in that. So everybody has a story through this season, and that everybody has time. We're all stuck in the same amount of time each day, and so I love that you chose this as our topic of the week.
Absolutely. So one of the things that came to mind, one of the passages was actually from Ephesians, and it's Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 through 18. And basically, Paul's writing some encouragement to the church in Ephesus, and he's given some instructions, and I love kind of what he says. I think it fits really well with where we are today as a church in this world. And I want to kind of read that, walk through that, and then break it down together. And so let's start. Let's read verses 15 and 16 together and start with that. Paul says, "Look carefully, church, then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil." And he says, look, guys, we're in a world today where, there's some unfortunate, some evil things that are happening, some hardships, some all sorts of different stuff that's going on. And Paul's saying, church, look at how you're walking. Be thinking about it, be processing it. And he says, make the most of your time because of all this. And I think he's talking about the spirit of intentionality that he's challenging the church to be doing this carefully and, just diligently. And so then he goes on in verses 17 and 18. He says, therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is, and do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit. And I was doing just some research on this, and it's interesting. We can fill ourselves with all sorts of things. And he uses wine here as an example where you can fill yourself with that, and that kind of impacts you and changes the way you live if you get filled with wine and get drunk off that. But I think we can also do that with all sorts of other things, right? The things that we're filling our lives with, the things that we're consuming. And ultimately what that does is that holds us back from being filled with the Spirit and walking with him and walking with that wisdom and intentionality that I think Paul wants for the church in Ephesus and the church worldwide. If I had to guess, he would say the same. And so that just kind of is, I think, a good stepping stone for us as we're thinking about this world today, these unusual seasons, and how we use our time in the midst of it. And so I want to kind of walk through together 8 steps that are coming from Mike Judge about how we can make the most of our time in the season. And so these are things that came to my mind, things on my heart. I'll give you guys a chance to share at the end. What are some things on your heart that you would love to share with us in the chat feed? I love that. And so let's just go through that. And the first one that I want to talk about as we're going through this is to ask God what he wants you to invest in and actually listen. Right? So we're in the season right now, and there's a million things we could pour ourselves into. We could pour into our families, we could pour into work, we could pour into Netflix, we could pour into a million things. What if we started this season off kind of on the front end of this, because we don't know how long this is going to last. We said, God, what do you want us to invest in? What are the things that you want for our hearts to be chasing after? And to get down on our knees and to ask that and to pray that and to come before the Lord. And so I think this is where it all begins, is coming before him and praying that prayer and seeking his guidance and then actually listening and responding. And so easy it's just to do those quick prayers, but to actually stop and process and meditate and journal.
It's hard to, when we say actually listen, that's hard.
Yeah, we're so fast paced, but we need to slow down. And for some of us, slowing down has almost been mandated on us.
Yeah,
and
so maybe this is a good rhythm to shake us up and give us space to actually listen.
Yep. And that really ties into number 2. And that number 2 is that I would say is to write down some goals. What do you want to accomplish, right? So we just prayed, we had our open hands before the Lord, we received. Let's form those into some things. And I was just thinking as I was working on this week, as I was thinking about how easy it is for us to be successful when we've actually taken the time to say, what are the targets that we're aiming for? Excuse me. And say, this is what we're going to work towards, whether it's a team, whether it's just you yourself. When we write down goals and we say we're headed towards that, we're so much more successful. And it's amazing how unsuccessful we are when we just kind of go and we just try to, whatever feels good that day, and we're kind of aimlessly walking around living our lives, whatever it is, it seems like we're so much less successful. And so for me, as I'm going through this, I've been praying, I've been processing, and I feel like the Lord's even already begun putting some things on my heart. What are some goals? And so for me, I'm thinking about, this is a time for me to invest in my family. This is time for me to lean into my wife and to love her and support her well, to spend time with my daughter and play with her and pray with her and that relationship. It's time for me to, I feel like the Lord's saying, Mike, I want you to journey through our church family through this. I want you to be a part of doing this with our church together. That's part of why we're doing this here tonight, is how do we intentionally do that? And then thirdly, how do I love the community? And I feel like the Lord's saying, Mike, there's probably some ways for you to love and be a light to the people around you right now, whether it's the people at the checkout, or whether it's somebody on social media or the Nextdoor app, or whether it's my wife just was talking about going into her to our neighbor and putting just a note in her mailbox saying, hey, I'm here for you, whatever you need. She's a little bit on the older side, and so she might need some help. And just how do we be lights? And so those are 3 things that have come to me, goals that I have. What are goals that you have for this season?
Yeah, there's a whole thing about don't waste the waiting. We feel like this is a season of waiting, or we're all just waiting to figure out what's going on in the world. Yeah. But there's a chance of if we just keep waiting, we're going to miss it. And instead, use it well.
Yep, absolutely. Let's keep on going. Number 3, do a time audit. All right, I know when I say this might be the most boring sounding thing on the list, but this is like the advanced, like if you want to get an A plus in time management, this is what you need to do. And so what this idea
what
is,
is this?
yeah, what's a time audit? It's going and thinking through where do you spend time throughout your life. And so maybe you go through a week and you do kind of morning to sleep every day, and you think through how many hours do I spend on this, and walk through your week and map it out. And what you have to do if you do this is you actually have to tally up the hours and ask yourself some questions. Am I happy with the way I'm spending my time right now? Is this fruitful? How much time am I investing in the kingdom? How much time am I investing in myself? How much time am I watching Netflix? I mean, just going down the list and processing, is that good? Is that bad? What does that say?
Are we doing a time audit of our life pre the stay-at-home order, or are we thinking like even just the last few days since we've built this new rhythm? What are you
Absolutely.
picturing us doing?
I would say, if you want the A plus, I would do both. I think certainly right now we have a unique season, and so what are you doing with your time right now is a great thing to be thinking about. What are your habits, et cetera? What are you investing time? But I think honestly, this is something we should do about our lives in general too. And so I would advise for both. The fourth thing that I have here on our list is kind of from that is to make a plan, right? So we learn these things, we process these things. What are we going to do about it? And so this is, there's a million ways to do it. I personally like scheduling. If you guys know me, I'm a J on the Myers-Briggs. I like being organized. I like structure. I like schedule. And so I like mapping things out. I've already been doing that the last few weeks of my life, thinking about how I'm investing my time. But I think we need to make a game plan and get some new healthy habits. If the Lord's calling you to make changes, I'm not trying to assume, but if He is, what that might look like. And
So if you put your SMART goals, #SMART goals, into these, we constantly are writing our SMART goals here. Not constantly. Dave Johnson has introduced SMART goals into our
ways
work.
to make good goals, basically.
Yeah, so that they're specific and time measured and
You're doing great.
relevant. I was just going to stop so I
It's
can't
great.
get them wrong.
Yeah.
But so we take our goals and then we make a plan and then we put them into action, right? That's
Yeah.
our habit.
And it's
Is that
making
the
new
habit?
habits,
Making
right?
new habits. So I did the research, and by that I mean I thought that science said that it takes 21 days to build a habit and 3 days to break it. Have you guys heard this? I feel like this is real. I was going to say
Something
it
like that.
factually, and then I did a quick internet search, and it's like, no, it takes a lot longer. But doing something every day for 3 weeks is always a good idea. So
Yep.
it seems like right now seems like a good time to start making some new habits.
Yep.
If you guys want to comment in with the actual facts about building new habits, I'd love to
Yep.
hear what the real numbers are instead of what I just am propelling that I've heard before. But yeah, habits, they're important. Putting it to action.
They're super important. And they're so important that I think number 5 needs to be don't get sucked into unhelpful habits. And so this is kind of the opposite. And I think there's a reality for a lot of us, frankly, and this is my fear even as I think about my own life as I go through the season, is I don't want to just miss it and I don't want it to slip away. And I think it's those unhelpful habits we have about the watching the Netflix or watching the YouTube videos or getting on social media or whatever it is, watching sports, whatever those things are that you're just tempted to just kind of pour your life into while you're home, if you are in that scenario, is just an easy way to just miss this opportunity. And so it's good to be aware of where we're investing our time and to say, you know what, I'm going to stand against those unhelpful habits. And I think even the spirit of what Paul was saying in that passage in Ephesians of, just how the drunkenness and the wine can take away our ability to do this well. I think that applies when we think about these different things in our lives that we're filling our time with as well that maybe aren't constructive in the kingdom of heaven. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. My bad habits, I often don't even know I'm doing them. They're just so normal. They become just my regular. And so this little shake-up is kind of good for me to acknowledge. And I also, in this habits section, have realized I just have a lot of excuses that I've made. And when everything's a little bit different, it allows me to see it. I hear the excuses I'm making and illuminate some of my bad habits. And hopefully I can build some new good habits instead.
Yep, I love it. one of the things that's super helpful for me in building new habits is being willing to set some boundaries. And so this is our number 6, and I think it's really important because, for example, in my life, I felt recently like really convicted about exercise for a lot of reasons. It's super healthy for our bodies, for our brains, for everything, and I think it helps me be a better steward in general. And I realized that
a better human.
just a better human. Yeah, and I realized the only time that I could really find a good consistent time to exercise was in the morning. And my problem with that is that I'm a night owl. And so how does that go hand in hand? Well, if I stay up too late, I'm probably not going to get up early to exercise at the beginning of the day. And so for me, I had to put up a boundary about going to bed at 11 every night to make sure I could get up early enough and have enough rest to exercise and do the things that I feel like the Lord's calling me to do.
And how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I can't say I'm perfect because I'm not, and my wife will tell you that, and everybody else who knows me, let's be real.
No, you're a human.
Yeah, I'm a human. But I feel like I've been definitely increasing a lot, and I think I've definitely been exercising the number of times each week that I've been aiming for. And, on the low end, I have a high-end goal too. But I'm at least hitting my minimum goals, and I'm working on it. And so it's progress, and it's taken some time. It hasn't been 21 days yet, but I'm getting close.
I can't tell. It's fun that there's a little extra pep in your step.
I love it.
Exercise is good for us.
Well, let's keep on going. Number 7, ways to make the most of our time is to invest in our relationships. And so this one's so key here. Oh man, it might feel like, wow, how do we do that? Well, we're isolated, we're at home. And some of you guys have already realized that you're having some really good success or some less success, particularly with your families being trapped. And for those of you guys who are in a house with families all the time, this has probably been an interesting dynamic that you've been experiencing. But I think and we need to look at this as an opportunity to grow together, not grow apart. And I think we do that well by obviously putting Christ at the center, but being intentional and thinking, what can we do together to grow, whether that's having real conversations, playing a game together. If you ever need recommendations, let me know. I know a few.
Board game nerd.
I'm kind of a board game nerd. It's real. Maybe trying something new that you've never done before. I mean, there's a million things, but just be intentional, process it, talk about it with your family. I think that's a great way. One resource that I've been personally loving is Gary Poole wrote a book. This is actually a church resource he wrote it for, but it's just 1,001 questions that you can open up. My wife and I went through a couple times in the last couple weeks and just read 5 questions. Some of them are serious, some of them are silly, but it's just a great way, I think, for a family to come together, especially, and start up a conversation, ask a few, get everybody involved. And so that's just a resource for you.
Yeah, investing in your families, and that obviously is right now, it's easiest to picture the people we're living with, but also our chosen families or our people in our tribe or even our extended families. I love that my cousin in Chicago right now is watching this and commenting. There's something special about this time that our families get to interact over. And just a little shout out. This is her cat. God bless you, Sammy. Everyone in my family has this matching Snuggler sweatshirt. But just the idea of how we can come together over the internet. So don't just be like, well, I live alone.
Yep.
We could get that as a trap, but invest in significant relationships.
And I think what's true about that, it's not just family, right? It's everybody, right? It's our church body. It's everybody, all of our relationships. And so my encouragement here is to say this is a good chance to do that. And so maybe you guys are already in a group of people at the church. Maybe this is a great chance to connect with them, reach out via technology or phone call. Lots of different platforms for that. But I also want to let you know we have care groups here at Westgate Chapel. This is a brand new thing we've launched just for this season because we know that we need to go through seasons like this together. It's important. And so we have different care groups based around what kind of ways you like to communicate, whether it's video calls, text, email, phone call, whatever. And you guys can sign up for those today at our westgatechapel.org site and go on the /update. westgatechapel.org/update, and there's a connection card link at the bottom. You can sign up for a care group, and we can get you plugged in with a community of people through this season. So everybody, we want you to have that community and be building in those relationships. All right, let's wrap this up. The number 8 item on our list is to journey through each day with God. And you guys, this is like the most important one. And it's so important, in fact, that our topic for next week's Wednesday Night Live is ways that we can connect with God at home. And so we're going to have a couple other segments as well, but that'll be our main talking point. We're going to have some guests coming in to share and give some perspective and opinions on just ways that they can do that, some ideas. And so, but the reality is that for us to be intentional with our lives, we need God in it. And so you guys invite him in. make space for quiet times. Be factoring that in as you make your game plan, because this is critical, and you will not be successful if you don't do this with God. That's the whole point of what we're talking about today. So tune in next week, and we'll be talking some more about that here on Wednesday Night Live. Awesome. All right. So I want to end here just as we just wrap this up with a challenge. And so I know there was 8 points. This might feel like maybe this, sorry, I'm just reading some of the chats.
Get Mike to wear the cat sweatshirt.
Yes, that's the moral of the story. I need to wear the cat sweatshirt next time.
But what's our weekly challenge?
Our weekly
Serious
challenge is,
note.
I dialed it into 3 things. There's 8 things on the list. Here's 3. Number 1, ask God for guidance. Go and do that. Spend that time with him. Number 2, make a plan, kind of a compilation of several of those. And 3, talk to someone about it. And, I think talking about it with somebody else, and maybe it's a group member, care group, life group, whatever, is that it allows for you to kind of feel like this is a real thing. And it also invites accountability.
Yeah, accountability is so important. And I was talking with one of my chosen family last night just about why is accountability so hard? And the idea is that we're not made to do things alone. And also that it's hard for the person to ask for accountability. What are you even asking for? And then it's really hard for the accountability partner, to figure out, what does this role look like? How do I say these things? What is that? So, but we know that we need it. We know that there's a space. And so, hey, when we're getting challenges, like, this feels like an awesome one. Just talking to someone about it.
Yep.
We can use this chat. We can use all our circles, but we've got to talk to someone.
Yep, we got to do it together. That's how God made us for. It's community. So, awesome. We want to turn now, and we want to just do a little bit of live interaction with you guys. And so you guys have already been doing a great job chatting. I love it. And so a couple quick questions we want to hear back from you on before we close out our time together today. The first question is, do you have any tips for how to make the most of your time? What are your guys' thoughts? We've shared 8 of ours. What are things that you have? And Jules, maybe you have something even right now you want to start us off with.
The most of my time. Yeah, I know that for me, this posture of, I am one of those people that once I'm in motion, it's like hard to stop me. I get moving real fast. And so it almost feels counterintuitive, but the idea of making most of my time by just noticing how I'm spending my time. So I definitely know talking to people about it, verbal processing out loud are also part of my plan to make the most of my time. What else do you guys have for us?
And there's so much. We got the cat sweatshirt coming in. We got talk about games ideas. Somebody mentioned Jackbox is a great resource for games. Any other for just communicating and playing games with people online? Super fun. Any other ideas for ways to make the most of our time? Anybody got anything?
What challenge? Oh yeah, making the most of our time.
I do. Keep the schedule. Yep, I love that one. Love seeing that come through. Just kind of reinforcing that is make the schedule, keep the schedule. Those habits. Yeah, that's really good.
Setting alarms. That we're kind of joking about what to wear, and obviously we're wearing our family room clothes to hang out with you guys in the family room. But something about getting dressed changes things. Getting yourself kind of dressed for the occasion gets your brain there, and your body even subconsciously probably knows what's up.
Yep. Sean Calbert wrote in, for family, structure has been important, but also planned in for extra times of fun together. And so that's just a good idea. It's not just about TV, right? It's structure, schedule. That's important. But let's also have some really good memories, some fun stuff together too. That's really great. Somebody wrote in Nerf Wars. That's awesome. What a great idea. Just being silly, doing life.
Yeah, creating that space just to hang out and be and see what happens, as opposed to over planning it or getting so worried about getting the A that we forget to just rest and sit with Jesus and enjoy our family and enjoy all the things we have, all the people in our life.
Someone else wrote in, do a family art or do art project with the people in your circle or people you're with. And that's another fun idea, ways to spend some intentional time together and connect. So, I love it.
I love try something new. I would love for you guys to comment the new things you've tried this past week.
Yeah.
Making the most of your time. What have you guys done? I'm trying to think. Have you done anything new this week?
I don't know if I've done anything super new.
or things that you want to do but didn't. I built a puzzle. I can't remember the last time I built a puzzle,
Yeah.
but it felt like I was full on vacation on a Tuesday night. But really, I was just building a puzzle. But it felt like I was in another world because it's just something I don't make time for.
Yep. Very cool. All right, let's go to the next question. What challenges do you tend to struggle with on this topic? So maybe what are some things that keep you back from making the most of your time? Just write in if you guys have a couple things. I'll read those. We just got one more response question after this. And so anything else that you guys would say? What are some challenges that you tend to struggle with on this topic? I already shared for me that the bad habit of staying up too late, maybe watching one more episode on Netflix than I should have, et cetera. And that's just, it's a game changer. Being careful with that has been a really big deal for me personally.
Oh, the idea of, I love Mitzi writing in to use a timer. So the struggle is you just get lost in time. You're not sure of where your time went. And so either staying focused on one thing instead of getting so spread out in all your multitasking, definitely a struggle. I have that as a master multitasker. And by that, I mean, I'm probably not that good at it and have a long way to go. So maybe that timer trick I should use.
Yeah. I love this comment that just came in about trying to use this time as a gift, and just thinking about this with family memories, prayer, seeking the Lord intentionally, et cetera. And so I don't know if that's really a challenge. I think that's a great idea for ways to use time well and to make the most of it. And I think maybe the challenges that some people might be feeling is that it's hard to get your brain in that space right now because it feels like chaos and it feels like anxiety, and a lot of people are wrestling with that. But how do we have a good and healthy perspective? I think that's a really important thing here.
Yeah, get the help that you need, but
Distractions, yeah, there's so many things. Figuring out priorities, yeah, absolutely. Great, some good responses, guys. Love it. One more question for us before we wrap up. What step are you most excited to take this week? What are some things as you're thinking through this that maybe you're like, you know what, I should do that? What's your take home, so to speak, from our time together today that you're thinking about? Yeah, any thoughts that come in? What about you, Jules?
oh, most excited. I definitely do want to kind of I'm going to take a weekly calendar grid and just see where my Sunday through Saturday went. I know that I keep saying, I haven't found my rhythm yet. And so just reflecting on kind of how this week went so I can, instead of just feeling like, oh, I never got my rhythm the whole time, but acknowledging that maybe I won't have a perfect rhythm. I don't have a perfect plan I have to stick to and roll with things as they come. I'm not in control, but also just knowing where it went would help me feel like I can make a wise plan going forward.
I love it. Let's see what you guys wrote in. Most excited to do. Let's see. Keeping God first, talking about priorities. I love that. That's huge, just that priority piece.
I love all the comments about family cooking or cooking together, or even just, that's a form of art, is creating new things. And it also just goes back to how we have to eat like we have to sleep. And so we might as well have fun feeding our body nourishing things. I love that and it should be part of using our time well, is feeding our body good things. And why not have fun along the way?
Yep, absolutely. Guys, so many great things to do. Somebody wrote in cultivate discipline, just building that in, keeping that focus. You guys, let's do this intentionally. As we wrap up together tonight, I just think that's our heart. And let's as a church family do this season intentionally. Let's make the most of it, and let's build God's kingdom even when this trial comes our way. Like, there's no reason that we need to slow down. If anything, I think we can push forward faster and harder than we have before. And I think that starts with us today together, making a decision to do this intentionally and to do it as a church family. And so I love it. Thank you guys for coming in. Jules, any final thoughts for us before we wrap up?
No, I have loved you guys
Together?
commenting. Thank you so much. I know that I'm going to read back through and make sure. I know we've missed some, but this just feels like exactly what it's supposed to be, right? We want to be a space where we're just together.
Yep.
And so I know that our church has been meeting over Zoom meetings and Google Hangouts, discipleship, life groups. We're watching video curriculum, reading books together, praying together. I'm proud of our church and how as you said, they've just been gracious. You guys are offering us grace. We are by no means talk show hosts. We don't know what we're doing. We're
Trying to figure it out.
just here figuring it out. But I love that our church has done nothing but been just so gracious as we figure it out together. And I'm proud of you for trying new things and meeting online and things like that. So I'm excited to see what is to come. And just thanks for playing along. Thanks for commenting. And
Yep.
we're excited to hear what you have to add for next week. So we're always open for ideas, right? We're
Yep.
just making this up as we go. So comment in what you want us to do.
Yep.
You could comment anything. Besides Mike, I mean, obviously keep commenting. You want Mike to wear his cat sweatshirt?
I might just do it. We'll see. So that being said, thank you guys. Remember to send in your stories for next week. We'd love to hear stories about God at work. Definitely do that. And also just to make sure you guys are aware, you can find out updates about everything we have going on here at the church at westgatechapel.org/update. You guys can see links for all of our ministry stuff happening, as well as fill out a connection card and get plugged into our care groups and other places as well. Church keeps on going. So with that, we love you guys. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you next week as we talked about ways to connect with God. And yeah,
#Westgate Online.
it's going to be great. Thank
you
you all.
guys.
Have a great night.